Hi, my name is Klaus Caldwell. I'm Bosun's made third class in the United States Navy. I served between the year 1975 to 1979. I'm here because I'm requesting help that's needed that was done by the Veterans Administration almost 30 years ago. I had no knowledge or idea of what they'd done. They just had to redo the surgery because they messed up the first time. They left a hole in the roof of my mouth. And now it is reseparates. I go to the VA and they tell me I need to be 100%. No one ever implied that I needed 100% or any type of disability. I was only 10%, 15% at the time. And it still was that when I came to see them. So they're refusing to repair what they've messed up, not once, but twice. Not only that, there's some particles in there that they never disclosed to me. It's taken about a year for me to get my records and going through 3 centers. I came to Dallas, Texas. I've been trying to get my records, and it's been over a course of a year and a half, almost 2 years. And eventually I kept calling the Chicago office, and I had to go through the Georgia office. And the Chicago office people, they kept telling me they weren't there, and I said the surgery was done there. So they're in Dallas. I said I've never been to the Dallas VA. The last time I've been to the VA was 1984, and that was while I was still in school. After that, I had no need to go deal with the VA at that time. And I lived with this problem because no one inclined that I needed to file for a disability. And so I dealt with it. But when it started separating and I came to them and it was bleeding and I go to the emergency room, they tell me, there's nothing we can do. We can't fix you. You want some pain pills? I got out of the military in 1979. And I had up to 2 years worth of dental before it expired. Okay, it expired in 1981. In 1982, I went to the Veterans Administration Hospital, Lakeside, to have orthoscopic surgery on my left knee. And eventually what happened was, the next day or two, the oral surgeon showed up at my bed at Lakeside Hospital. And they looked at my mouth and he just basically said that I had an overbite, which kind of looks like this. That's all it was. The first surgery, it turned out that it was a little bit more complicated than they anticipated. It put me in intensive care. They had my mouth wired. I had one nostril to breathe out of. The right nostril had a tube going down here, all the way down through my trachea to the lungs or wherever it may be. And I couldn't talk, and I kept trying to signal to the nurse in there, I need to untie me and help me, I can't breathe. They never told me why I was in intensive care. I anticipated being back in my bed. And when I woke up in there with this, they never told me I have a tube up my nose. And they never tell me I have one nostril to breathe out of. Really? How can you do that? Your mouth's wide shut and you're gonna shut this piece up and you don't have just this to breathe out of? And it's clotting here and the nurse can't understand what I'm saying. And they got me tied down. And it took about 2 hours. And after that, once I got loose, I went in there and I just snatched it out and that was it. Blood shot out from everywhere, but I was able to breathe. I couldn't do anything with this other nostril. I don't know why. And that's how I got there, and next thing I know, the surgeons came in and they looked at it about 2 hours later, because it was in late night or early in the morning, and they made sure that was okay, and then they sent me to a regular room, and that's basically how it ended. Well, after the 90-day period, the wires were out, the surgeons looked at it and stuff, and they said, it looked like it's looking good and it's healing. But what happened was, I went home and I started drinking liquids like a day or two after this. The doctors had looked at all this, and what would happen is the liquid would come right through the nostrils, either side, when I drank water. It would come out this way and it go down my throat. And so I told them about it. They gave me a little time to say, well, give a little bit of time for it to heal. I'm thinking, every time I drink water, portions of it come out this way from the glass, the rest of it goes down my throat. Eventually, they rescheduled the surgery about 4 months later. I have that problem today now when I sleep, and I sleep at an angle because I'm worried about choking on myself. I sleep in a easy chair recliner at this position because when I lay flat on the bed, this stuff is gonna either clog my nose or it's down in my throat. And I'm gonna wind up coughing it up in my sleep. And so typically at this angle, I can just sit back and I can nod off and I'm good. But if I have to lay in a bed, flat down, or on a pillow, any type, horizontally, that affects me. Now, the only thing I compromise is, yeah, my back may be a little bit sore from this, but I'd rather do that than risk cutting off my air supply. And in fact, I can't even take my sleep apnea machine. They gave me one of those. That doesn't do nothing but blow stuff down your nasal passage and your stomach, or whatever you want to call it. But whatever it is, it's not good. Who wants to blow, who eats blood? Who's gonna put that in your system? What does that do for you? Does it not affect your kidneys in time? Think about it. What does the pus do for you? All these are germs and these people are neglecting it, but these are professionals that say they take care of our vets. Really? And I've been trying to get this help for now it's going on. It's been over 2 years. I've been through 3 senators. One in Georgia, Mr. Loudermilk, one in Fort Worth, and the final one was Senator John Cornyn for Texas as well, for the Dallas area. And now they're just stating they're monitoring the situation. I've been turned back by the emergency room when I go in there. The only thing I knew was, yes, they sealed the leak or the hole that was put in there from the prior surgery. The funny thing was I never got a chance to see the pictures of what they'd done. I just felt that there was something funny that they put in my mouth. I thought maybe they put some type of prosthetic device in there. And I wasn't able to discover this until I put this iPhone in my mouth almost 2 years ago. And that's when I saw that they had moved the center roof of my mouth over to my right. And there's 3 incisions in there as well. And I discovered that when I was in Georgia still trying to get oral surgery. And that almost really made me lose my mind pretty much. I said, this thing is separated, I'm still getting blood. I said, my tongue is consistently yellow. It takes me a while to get that off. If it's, that's what I see every day. When I wake up and I go to sleep, and it's short, but when I do, my eyes are bloodshot. And so all these things work against me, and they mess with my mental psyche. Not only that, I get angry. But I went to them and I trusted them. And if they felt that I needed to file for 100%, why did I not imply that then after the 2nd surgery? And I've been getting a runaround about that. Oh, well, you need to be 100%. That's what they keep telling me. And I've even shown the pictures. The congressman in Fort Worth wrote a letter on my behalf. He saw the pictures. I went to his office, and he wrote a letter to the administrator at the VA here in Dallas that they need to do anything beyond necessary to fix whatever it takes to fix what they've done wrong. He sent them a letter. I'm still not getting that service. I really respect that congressman that did that. They finally told me that my records were in Dallas over the course of a year. The Chicago office told me that. They confirmed that, and I asked them why, because I never been in service at the Dallas VA. My work was done in Chicago. The last time I dealt with the VA back then was 1984. That's when I left. And for some reason, they convinced me to do that over the course of 7 months. And I transferred my voucher from Georgia, Cobb County, in September, October, to Dallas. and my lease would be up at the end of January. I made it clear that this is how important this is to me. It's been a little over a year that I've been trying to get these records so these doctors could look at it, that the VA did, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I said, that's how important it is to me. I said, I told the clerk there in Chicago that I'm willing to just take nothing but my clothes and my car. Everything that I have here, I'm going to give to someone, donate it, but that's how important it is to me. I've been trying to get this record from y'all for almost a year, and you're telling me they're in Dallas. And I said, so that's what I did. I donated all my furnishings. I put it in storage. I took my clothes and my car. And my voucher was transferred 2 months in advance. October, so it would have been November and December. I got here in January. Electronically, they should have had all that. Well, they did. When I got here, the Dallas Housing Authority told me, I'm sorry, there's no funding for it. Give it a month. Come back, call again. Well, we still haven't received anything. And I called every other week, still getting the same response. Finally, around 4 months and 3 weeks, I finally got to a point where I just got tired. I just got through with it. I've been in my car for 4 months and 3 weeks, almost 5 months. And when I called, told the lady, said, look, you need to get a voucher to somebody else that can use it. That's what I did. I said, because I don't want to be misled on false hope. It's been almost 5 months. You know, I'm done. Give it to somebody. Give it to somebody else, because it's not benefiting me at all. And then after they hung up, I got a call back 10 minutes later asking me, are you ready to move? That's what it took for me to get my apartment, when I should have been in there 5 months ago. They wound up putting me in the hospital because of malnutrition. Otherwise, I couldn't eat a lot, and I lost about 30 or 40 pounds. That's what put me in the hospital. And at the same token, while I was in there, I was explaining to them that with my separation, who's going to eat blood or who's going to eat pus with their dinner? You know, you can only do that so long. I've been like this now a good year and some change as it's separated, and I haven't gotten any help here. Their response was they can't touch it because I'm not 100% disabled. The VA, when they did the surgery, not once but twice, because they messed up the first time, they never implied that I needed to be 100%. I trusted what they did. They never told me, well, you need to file for 100% disability. But when I was only 15% disabled. And when this problem happens, I go to the VA, we can't help you. You need to be 100%. So you guys did the work.
My name's Dan Helmuth, and I met Klaus Caldwell through a good friend of mine with the Veterans Suicide Prevention Channel. I belong to a group in Middletown, Ohio called the Veterans Social Command. We have over 325 members, of which 75 to 90 veterans meet once a week to talk about claims and how to get some justice through the VA system. I've started working on my own claim back in 2011, and when I found out that I could do it with some proclivity, I turned and started helping other veterans. And I've now been able to help over 260 veterans in Ohio and Texas, and with over $4 million of annualized compensation. Helping Klaus is just makes me feel really good that I can contribute something to the neglect and the way the VA treats our veterans. There's no way that I could sit by and let something like that happen without getting involved. I got a call from Glenn Towery, who is the director at the Veterans Suicide Prevention Channel, and asked me if I could help him. And I gave Klaus a call and got information from him about his problems. And I put together a claim, and we filed it with the Veterans Administration for legal action. We've handled several cases per se, which means that the veteran files the case and we provide him the information. That way, any correspondence from the VA would come directly back to the veteran. We've been very successful at it, and one of the key ingredients is the fact that we never give up, and we continue fighting for the veteran at no charge. The personal satisfaction to be able to help another veteran is worth more than money can buy.
Now, Klaus Caldwell has been told by the VA that he has no other legal recourse in terms of being able to file a suit or anything. Is that true?
That is not true. We can help him and guide him in the directions of filing a federal lawsuit against the VA, whether they like it or not, and that is the next step in his evolution of getting satisfaction for the damage they've caused him and the pain and suffering he's endured.
Now, I understand a lot of veterans may be under the belief that if you file an 1151 tort and it's denied, that you can't do anything about it. But you're saying that's absolutely not true?
That is not true. What they're quoting is 38 CFR 1151, which is just a legal paragraph. It's a law saying what their rights are. But it says nothing about not filing lawsuits against the VA. But if you go to the Veteran Service Officer, 9 times out of 10, they won't help. They'll tell him that he's got all that he can get and be happy with it. And they won't pursue any other avenues of relief. And that's just not right. I'm a Vietnam veteran, and I owe a lot of my life to helping them.
Now, I know that you've had intimate knowledge of Mr. Caldwell's case, that you've looked into his record. Now, I would just like to know, just for on record, what you feel the probability of the culpability of the VA may be in service of what happened to him.
The culpability is that they are responsible not only for the cost of restoring him to the way he was before they botched his 2 surgeries, and compensating him for the pain and suffering he has suffered over the last 30 years.
Well, that's great. Do you have anything else that you would like to add about this case with Klaus?
Only the fact that, number one, never give up. Never believe what they tell you until you have a judge tell you. And even then, it's not over.
And if other veterans would like to file an appeal for or a claim, do you have a way for them to contact you?
Yes, there are 2 ways that you can contact us. One is through the Veterans Suicide Prevention Channel. There is an application form on there that they can complete, and that comes directly to me. The other way is to call me direct. My telephone number is 513-320-5369. And if I don't recognize your number and it goes to voicemail, or I can't come to the phone, I will definitely call you back.
Well, thank you so much, Dan. Thank you for your service and your continued effort on the behalf of veterans like Klaus and veterans throughout America. And the men and women that you work with in your group, we think is just outstanding.
Well, there's no greater satisfaction than getting a call from a veteran that we've helped who tells us that they just got the 100% disability because of their service-connected injuries.
I'm Glenn Towery with the Veteran Suicide Prevention Channel. You just heard the story of Klaus Caldwell, who is a United States veteran who has suffered many problems because of false, fake, bad dental work that was given to him at a VA facility in Chicago. It has been a nightmare trying to get this veteran treated properly for the damages. When I found out about him through Robert Wilson, who runs another veterans organization. He called me and he said, I have this veteran that has some big problems headed to Dallas. And he told me his name was Klaus Caldwell. This was in 2016, towards the end of the year. And so I said, okay, because we work together to try to help veterans. Even though we are a channel, I very seldom really am hands-on. But his story was so compelling. So as you heard, this veteran had surgery that was less than proper for what he needed. Everything that happened to him wasn't his fault. And the fact that he had this surgery, and this surgery has left him in such terrible condition, and this surgery was done by the Department of Veterans Affairs, and they won't fix it. Our organization has worked with Klaus, who arrived here on December 20th with a voucher for housing. And when he got to Dallas, I said here, I'm actually in Round Rock, Texas. But Robert Wilson called me because I was the only person that he knew in Texas. But I told him, even though we were 200 miles away, we would do what we could try to do with Mr. Caldwell. Paul Julio, who works for the Texas Veterans Commission, who is a very helpful person, and they are a great organization. They really do believe in veterans. They believe in helping veterans. And Paul, I can't say enough for him. During a veteran stand down, he told me while I was working on this case that the director of the VA hospital in Dallas had within his power for humanitarian purposes to say, you know what, let's help this veteran. And so I wrote a letter of appeal to him, and I asked him to please help Klaus Caldwell in this situation that was not of his fault. I sent emails, I sent them a certified letter, I sent the letters that I sent to them to the congressmen and other political type people that support Klaus. So this special report is to bring out what has happened to this veteran. And I hope that you will contact your congresspeople, your VA workers, write letters to that head of the VA department there. His name is Jeffrey Milligan, and that's why. This young man served his country, and his life was falling apart. And when his life was falling apart, the VA was not there for him. Our organization, he got so low that we feared for his life. And I wrote them and I told them, I said, I don't think, he doesn't sound right now. I don't think that nothing is well with him. He wound up hospitalized in the hospital. And thereafter, he sounded so bad that we reached into our coffers and we put him up for a week. Because we didn't want to lose this veteran. Because that was the right thing to do. That's something that our organization has never done. And we didn't really have the money to do it, but we did it. We found a way to do it and we did it. So what I'm asking you is, do you think it's right from the story that you heard, for us not to help a veteran like Klaus Caldwell, who served this country well, who still believes in this country? He's a human person, he's a veteran, and he needs our support. And I hope that you will give him that support. So please, write to the VA Medical Center in Dallas. Write to David Shulkin. Tell them about what has happened with this veteran. How he had surgery, had his jaw broke, woke up with his jaw broken, and the surgery was no good. It was botched surgery and how he had to have a second surgery, and that surgery still left his mouth deformed on the inside. And now 27 years after that surgery was done, how his mouth is falling apart as a direct result of that surgery that was done. And the VA says to him now, well, you have to be 100% disabled to get these dental services. When they did it, he wasn't 100% disabled. When they messed it up, he was not 100% disabled at that time. But now, in order for them to fix it, he has to be 100% disabled. Help this veteran, please. Klaus Caldwell, United States Navy veteran.